The story of Dhul-Qarnayn and the wall of Gog and Magog. Have you ever heard of a just and powerful king who traveled to the ends of the earth and built a barrier to protect humanity from a terrible threat? This is the story of Dhul-Qarnayn, a wise ruler mentioned in the Quran, whose journey teaches us about leadership, justice, and the fate of mankind. But who was he? What happened to the wall he built to contain Gog and Magog? And most importantly, does this story have any connection to the events of the modern world? Today, you will discover every detail of this incredible narrative, based on the Quran, Islamic traditions, and the teachings of Prophet Muhammad. If you love content like this, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications, because I bring you powerful stories that will expand your knowledge and connect you with deep teachings. Now, let's begin this journey together. Who was Dhul-Qarnayn? In the Quran, Allah mentions Dhul-Qarnayn in Surah Al-Kahf, 1883-98. Allah says, "And they ask you about Dhul-Qarnayn. Say, I will recite to you something of his story." To Quran 1883. But who exactly was Dhul-Qarnayn? His name means the one with two horns, but its true meaning has been debated for centuries. Some scholars believe the two horns represent his rule over both the East and the West, as he governed vast lands. The combination of strength and wisdom, essential for a just leader. A helmet with two horns, a symbol of power used by ancient rulers. Many historians suggest that Dhul-Qarnayn might have been Cyrus the Great, the Persian emperor known for his justice. Others believe he could have been Alexander the Great, who conquered much of the world. But there's one crucial detail. Alexander was a pagan, while Dhul-Qarnayn was a righteous servant of Allah. In the end, his exact identity doesn't matter as much as the lessons we learn from his story. If you're enjoying this so far, hit the like button and comment, "I want more Quran stories." It helps me bring even more content like this. Now, let's explore his three great journeys. First journey, the West. Dhul-Qarnayn set out toward the far west, where he encountered a people and was tested by Allah. The Quran says, "Until when he reached the setting of the sun, he found it setting in a spring of dark mud, and he found near it a people. We said, O Dhul-Qarnayn, either punish them or treat them with kindness." Quran 1886. Here, he had a choice: to be a tyrant and oppress these people, or to be a just ruler and guide them toward righteousness. He responded, "As for the one who does wrong, we will punish him. Then he will be returned to his Lord, who will punish him with a terrible punishment. But as for the one who believes and does good, he will have the best reward, and we will speak to him kindly." Quran 1887-88. This teaches us about justice and balance. Evil must not go unpunished, but those who do good should be rewarded. Dhul-Qarnayn restored order and continued his journey. But before we move on, if you believe in Allah's justice, type in the comments, "Allah's justice is supreme." Second journey, the East. After establishing justice in the West, Dhul-Qarnayn traveled to the East, where he found a people with no protection from the scorching sun. The Quran says, "Until when he reached the rising of the sun, he found it rising on a people for whom we had provided no shelter against it." Quran 1890. Here we see that Dhul-Qarnayn did not try to change these people by force. He realized they lived in simplicity and peace, and they posed no threat. Dhul-Qarnayn respected their way of life instead of forcing his own beliefs on them. This teaches us that not everyone has to live the same way. True leadership respects diversity. After this journey, Dhul-Qarnayn moved forward, and now we arrive at the most incredible part of the story: the construction of the wall that would protect the world from Gog and Magog. Third journey, Gog and Magog. After traveling through vast lands, Dhul-Qarnayn reached a mountainous region where he met a troubled people. They pleaded with him, "O Dhul-Qarnayn, indeed Gog and Magog are spreading corruption throughout the land. Can we pay you to build a barrier between us and them?" Quran 1894. Who were Gog and Magog? They were barbaric and destructive tribes. They caused chaos and destruction wherever they went. They were so numerous that they seemed unstoppable. Dhul-Qarnayn refused any payment but decided to help these people. He ordered them to bring massive blocks of iron and stack them between the mountains. Then, he melted copper and poured it over the structure, making it even stronger. The Quran says, And so they did, until when he leveled it between the two mountain cliffs, he said, "Blow with bellows." Until when he made it like fire, he said, "Bring me molten copper to pour over it." Quran 1896. The wall was complete. Then Dhul-Qarnayn declared, "This is a mercy from my Lord, but when the promise of my Lord comes to pass, he will level it to the ground, and the promise of my Lord is ever true." Quran 1898. This means that one day the wall will collapse and Gog and Magog will be unleashed again. Prophet Muhammad said, "Gog and Magog dig at the wall every day until they almost break through." Sahih Muslim 29:37. And at the end of times they will invade the earth, bringing unimaginable chaos. Now, let me ask you, could we be getting closer to that moment? If you want a video about the signs of the end times, drop a comment and subscribe so you don't miss it. See you in the next video. Reflection on just leadership. Dhul-Qarnayn exemplifies the true concept of leadership, which goes far beyond power or dominance. His story teaches us that a true leader is one who does not act impulsively or based on personal interests, but with wisdom, compassion, and discernment. He is someone who carefully weighs the consequences of his actions, considering the impact on those around him, and always seeks a balance between justice and mercy. Throughout his travels, Dhul-Qarnayn was faced with decisions that affected entire communities. In the West, he had to decide whether to punish or reward a people, and he chose a balanced approach, punishing wrongdoers but rewarding those who did good. In the East, instead of imposing his power, he respected the way of life of a simple people, teaching us that true leadership is not about forcing change, but guiding with respect, acknowledging diversity, and fostering peace. This reflects an important lesson for us today. In our modern world, leaders, whether in politics, business, or even within our personal lives, are often confronted with dilemmas similar to those faced by Dhul-Qarnayn. How should one make decisions that affect entire communities? How do we balance justice, empathy, and respect for diversity? Today's leaders face complex issues, such as how to navigate times of crisis, how to manage conflicts, and how to implement change without losing moral integrity. Dhul-Qarnayn's story teaches us that true leadership is not about decisions that favor one group over another, but about creating solutions that benefit the collective, balancing authority with compassion. This lesson is vital for all of us because leadership is not just for those in positions of power. Whether at home, in the workplace, or in our communities, we all have the potential to lead. We can all make decisions with wisdom, compassion, and discernment, ensuring that our choices have a positive impact on those around us. Dhul-Qarnayn's example shows us that the true essence of leadership lies in guiding others with fairness and respect, not through power alone. Comparing Dhul-Qarnayn with other leaders in the Quran. When we look at the story of Dhul-Qarnayn, we see strong parallels with other great leaders mentioned in the Quran, such as Prophet Musa, Moses, and Prophet Muhammad. Like Dhul-Qarnayn, both Musa and Muhammad were faced with difficult decisions that required wisdom, justice, and compassion in the face of adversity. Prophet Musa was called by Allah to confront the mighty Pharaoh of Egypt, a ruler who oppressed his people. Musa was tasked with delivering Allah's message of freedom and justice, even though he faced resistance and immense challenges. The Quran recounts how Musa led his people out of Egypt, demonstrating great patience and faith, even in the face of overwhelming odds. Like Dhul-Qarnayn, Musa had to navigate complex situations where the welfare of a people was at stake, and he had to act with justice and mercy. Prophet Muhammad also faced difficult choices throughout his leadership. In the early years of Islam, he encountered hostile opposition from the Quraysh tribe in Mecca. Yet, despite the persecution, Prophet Muhammad responded with patience and diplomacy, always prioritizing peace and reconciliation over violence. His life is a testament to the power of justice, compassion, and moral integrity, even in the most trying times. Both Musa and Muhammad, like Dhul-Qarnayn, faced situations that required them to balance power with compassion, making decisions that would affect entire communities. They didn't seek power for personal gain, but rather used their influence to bring about justice, protect the oppressed, and guide people to a higher moral standard, connecting the wall of Gog and Magog with modern security and protection. The story of the wall that Dhul-Qarnayn built to protect a community from Gog and Magog can be symbolically connected to the walls or barriers that modern societies build for protection. Just as Dhul-Qarnayn constructed a physical barrier to protect vulnerable people from the threat of chaos and destruction, today, nations construct borders, walls, and security measures to safeguard against perceived external threats. However, unlike Dhul-Qarnayn, many modern leaders must also balance these measures with humanitarian concerns, ensuring that these protections do not lead to unjust exclusion or harm to others. The story of the wall can also raise important questions about the efficacy and morality of such barriers. In the context of global issues like immigration, refugees, and terrorism, many of today's leaders must confront the ethical dilemma of how to protect their citizens while remaining compassionate toward those in need. The wall in Dhul-Qarnayn's story was not a permanent solution, it was a temporary protection until the end times. Similarly, modern walls may provide temporary security, but cannot address the root causes of conflict and insecurity, which often lie in deeper issues of inequality, oppression, and misunderstanding. Just as Dhul-Qarnayn's wall was a protective measure for a vulnerable community, modern security measures should strive to protect without causing harm, always seeking a balance between protection and justice.